Now, I'm sure a lot of us want to see this Kanan, and no doubt, we're about to see a glimpse of it in episode 6. But where the journey that Kanan is on is similar to what I broke down with Jukebox, which is why we often see them opening up to each other, there is one huge difference. Kanan spent 10 years in prison.
You're away from everything that comforts you, everything that makes you feel at home. You have no idea what's gonna happen to you. You have no control of what you're doing, when you're moving, how you're eating. For the first time in your life, you realize the choices aren't yours. Fuck a gun or a knife being pointed at you. That shit, that first night in jail, that's real fear.
And this is something I hope the writers take into consideration later on in the series, because where we see him in this current timeline, the choices that he's making are his. But when you're in prison, you really do realize the choices aren't yours. You're on a strict timetable behind the 4 walls with the cell door locked. You don't have a choice of what to eat. You'll find yourself having to defend yourself at all times and thinking all sorts of crazy shit. And that's real fear. We saw it with Ghost, Tasha, and Tariq St. Patrick. In prison, you're locked away with killers, and so you have to adapt, which no doubt shaped the Kanan we saw in Power. He was calm, he was strategic. I'm sure he read books, along with playing a lot of chess, because it really would have been easy for him to want to seek revenge straight away. But he was someone who is calculated and patient. He thought the best way to attack Ghost was through pink sneakers while he was in prison, but when that failed, he attacked his organization from the inside, which turned into disguising himself as Slim and using Tariq as a way to get to Ghost. So what we learned from Kanan in Power, he was a great liar, manipulator, strategic, and he thought 3 moves ahead. You know, the easiest way to sneak upon your enemy is to make them think that they've already won. And some of these traits are very similar to a certain someone in Raising Kanan, Rock. So bringing it back to the current timeline, Kanan's come to the realization he can't trust Rock.
Oh, you think I'm just gonna tell her what I'm thinking? Hell no.
So Rock knows that Kanan is slipping away. She's seen the signs. She very well knows he's been keeping things from her. For example, his surprise visit to Detective Howard. But she is also smart enough not to question him, because maybe this would have made Kanan push back and question her mother. And this is something she wanted to avoid. She wanted him to open up to her without her having to ask, which was the whole point of this camping trip in the first place, and trying to get Kanan to open up to her during the car journey and also while they sat by the fire pit. So there were 3 reasons for taking him on this camping trip. 1. It's something they used to do with High Post, and Rock's idea was to bring back this wave of nostalgia. 2. She wanted to get closer to Kanan and make him feel she values him, because at this moment in time, there is definitely a lot of distance between them, and the only way she can bring him back in is to make him feel he's a part of her organization and try and get him to open up. And 3. She also had to get rid of the inspector's body. So starting with the scene on the way to the Catskills, the song choice in the car journey was a representation of where the relationship was in that moment. And often the song choices in Power will give us clues, so it is worth paying attention to the lyrics. I know you ain't been around, don't treat me like you used to. I've got the feeling I'm gonna lose you. And it is clear, Rock is scared about losing Kanan, which is one of the ideas behind this trip. She knows Kanan didn't buy the talk with Vernon Stark, and he came out even more confused, which pushed him further in Howard's direction. So on this journey down to the Catskills, we saw Rock try and push Kanan to tell her the truth when she questioned him whether he was seeing anyone, and the whole idea was to make Kanan feel comfortable about opening up to Rock, something which he's reluctant to do at this moment in time. Now, at the fire pit, Kanan was using Principles of Law 4 from the 48 Laws of Power. Always say less than necessary. The less you say, the more powerful you are, because it makes it harder for the other person to figure you out. And in fact, silence makes the other person feel a bit more uncomfortable. Rock wants to know what Kanan's thinking. For example, when she wanted to get into the mind of Unique, she sent Scrappy, but Unique was in control, and so was Kanan with his words in this scene, and it meant Rock couldn't figure either of them out. So this whole idea of having Kanan help her with the inspector's body was also something very similar to a passage I read in The Mind of a Murderer. If you're open and honest with someone else about a secret, whether it be true or fake, they're more likely to be open and honest about a secret they have. It often happens in prison when you've got 2 cellmates. One shares a story and then the other one follows, which is why we saw Ghost having to protect his persona of Ghost. because we also had Tony Teresi use this against him, but I reference this as a huge game of poker between Rock and Kanan because it's also a very dangerous game sharing secrets, and in the end, by the time they finished this camping trip and with the troubles with the Italians, when Kanan questioned Rock about who they were, she didn't exactly lie, but she wasn't exactly open with him either, and that really does say a lot. So what did Rock gain from this camping trip? Apart from getting rid of the inspector's body, not a lot in my opinion, and if anything, she made things a little worse, but the way she's now trying to get Kanan back on side is by bringing him into the game. So there are a few scenes left that we haven't seen from the official season trailer, which I expect to be in episode 6. That means everything we're probably going to see in episode 7, 8, 9 and 10. We haven't seen anything, and I think that's a great place to be. But we're going to hear Rock telling the rest of the crew Kanan's getting back in the mix, because it is one way to keep his mind occupied, and also another way to keep him away from Howard, which does make me think about Rock's 3D chess moves. Could she have been the one to send Palomar and Corinne as a way to keep an eye on him? Because she was very quick to question him about whether he was seeing someone on the car journey to the Catskills, so just thought I'd throw that one out there based on the video I made of 5 of Rock's hidden power moves. But we're also going to see Rock telling Kanan once again he's the heir to her throne and he needs to handle his business, and he is going to get to work in episode 6 but run into trouble in the neighborhood. So if we were to rewind it back to 1985, one thing that Rock has always told Kanan is to handle his own shit and never be taken for a fool. So when he was beat down and had his money stolen at the park, Rock marched him straight back and told him go deal with them or deal with her. So we saw Kanan deal with the bullies, and in essence, that's what we're going to see Kanan do in episode 6. He doesn't want to deal with Rock, so he's going to find a way himself, because Rock won't help him and neither will Marvin, which is where Palomar comes in, which again does make me wonder there is more to both Palomar and Corinne. But with all of this and being in the game and this constant back and forth with Rock, this will only start to push Kanan away even further. But who will Kanan turn to? Marvin's already told him he's on his own. Rock's lies and manipulation means Kanan definitely doesn't trust his moms. Although we've seen more interaction between him and his uncle Lou in season 2, I can't see Kanan going to his uncle either, and it just makes me think Jukebox is the only one left.
Cause you never knew a nigga harder than Jukebox. And I ain't never loved nobody harder neither. Juke everything.
These are two characters who are somewhat in the same position, and when shit actually really hits the fan with Rock, and when shit hits the fan with Juke and Kenya, which no doubt it will, they'll only have each other. But one thing's for sure, we are going to see the turn of Kanan, and we're going to see a more ruthless streak starting in episode 6, which I am looking forward to. But that's a breakdown of where we are with Kanan's character, some backstory with power, and how we're going to see a more ruthless Kanan towards the back end of the season. So drop all your thoughts down below on all things Kanan Stark, and of course if you are new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.